Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our session on removing barriers, how libraries and university presses collaborate to affect change. We're so thrilled to be here. Next slide, please. We thought it was important to start off by just sort of acknowledging the elephant in the room and recognizing the pressures that all of our organizations find ourselves under and the new realities we're facing in this new world. We started planning this session in the early fall. And since then, a lot has changed. The landscape in which we all operate has changed dramatically. It's probably fair to say that we all feel operationally sort of destabilized and uncertain about the future. But it's times like these when it's even more important for us to collaborate. We need to pool our resources. We need to support one another. We need to work together, and we hope that this session will demonstrate some opportunities for doing so and inspire some new projects of your own. So overall, it's our goal with this session to highlight some really successful collaborations between university presses and libraries, and to show how these partnerships have lasting impacts. Next slide, please. This session emerges from the work of the Library Relations Committee of the Association of University Presses. The general objective of our committee is to expand communications and collaborations to promote mutual understanding between university presses and libraries. And as part of that overarching mission, the Association of University Presses and the Library Publishing Coalition are collaborating on the University-Based Publishing Futures Initiative. This is a new multi-community coalition made up of representatives from university presses, from library publishers, and other academic programs that support scholarly publishing. Our goal is really to share knowledge, align our outreach, and advocate for maximum impact on what we can achieve working together. We're collaborating at this overarching level. And now we want to tell you about some really amazing examples of collaborations that are happening at an institutional level. And thank you, Melanie, for posting that web link. So next slide, please. Are we at the about the university presses? Yeah, so this session is really designed to talk about all of these collaborations and the work of the coalition. So next slide should be case studies. No, one more back, or a couple more back. We'll get there. Couple more back. Somehow they they just bounced themselves forward. It's slide 4 is where we're going. There it is. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. So we're going to talk about 3 different case studies of collaboration in 3 really different areas. One is at North Broad Press at Temple University. This project is work that you'll hear about today is working on open textbooks. Another project we'll talk about is Trailblazers, which was started at Liverpool University Press and supports the development of early career researchers. And another is out of Brown University's digital publication group, which is supporting historically Black colleges and universities and libraries in developing digital-born scholarship. So next slide, just telling you a little bit about who we are. I'm Jess Fiorillo. I'm director of Harvard Education Press. I started my publishing career a million years ago and have worked in publishing since 1996. I've worked for big publicly traded houses, privately held companies, and now I am very happily making my home at a university press and came to Harvard from Oxford University Press. Mary Rose Muccie has worked in scholarly publishing for over 30 years, is the director of Temple University Press, and has been the Scholarly Communications Officer for Temple Library since 2014. She is also the prior director of JSTOR Current Scholarship Program and director of Project Muse. And she was the publisher for the Society for Industrial and Applied Mathematics. Jennie Collinson has been in academic publishing for 16 years. She joined Liverpool University Press in 2015 as head of sales and became director of sales and marketing in 2023. She is also our fearless leader as chair of the Association of University Presses Library Relations Committee, which has been wonderful. And Allison Levy is the director of Brown University Digital Publications. She's based in the Brown Library System, and this is a Born Digital Open Access Content Development Program. And her work is supported by grants from the Mellon Foundation, from the National Endowment for the Humanities, and the Institute for Museum and Library Services. So slide 6, please. So we want this to be a conversation. So let's talk. Please post questions in the chat throughout the session. We're going to spend a few minutes after each presentation addressing questions about that specific presentation. And then at the very end, we'll have a bigger, broader Q&A session where we can address any further questions. But now, for right this minute, could you take a second so we can get to know you and you can get to know one another? Just enter anything into the chat about why you're here, who you are, what you're hoping to get out of this. We'd love to hear from you. And I know that all of us can see what comes up in the chat, so it'll be kind of fun to see everybody's comments. So just take a quick second and jot down some thoughts. You could even just enter where you're logging in from. Penn State. Great. Hi, Angel. Oh, they're coming so fast. Association of Research Libraries, great. Kansas, great. Indiana. Long Island. Have we got anyone from California? Can we get the coast to coast? Asbury Seminar, Open Infrastructure, University of Pittsburgh, Cal State, there we go. Northwestern. Oh, this is great. And Guelph. Excellent. I've been to Guelph. It's beautiful. University of Florida, Michigan. Oh, it's so nice to see everybody. And from different places, libraries and presses. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you all. Calgary, another Canadian. Any other international people? Well, we are delighted to have you all here, and we hope that you will post questions as our speakers are speaking, and we'll get to them at the end of each of their presentations. So I will turn this over now to our first speaker, Mary Rose.
Next slide, please. Thank you, Jess. It's great to be here. As she said, I'm Mary Rose Muccie. I am the director of Temple University Press, and I also work on scholarly communications in the Temple libraries. So next slide, please. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are. As Jess said, North Broad Press is a joint publishing imprint of Temple University Press and the libraries. Next slide, please. So Temple publishes 40 to 45 books a year. I will say that most of our books are in areas or contain words that have now been flagged in today's climate. We also are the premier publisher of books on Philadelphia and the local region. We consider ourselves the city's publisher. Temple University Library Center for Scholarly Communications and Open Publishing, SCOP, is run by and all services are managed by one FTE, Alicia Pucci, who is amazing. She's the Assistant Director for Scholarly Communications. About a sixth of me and a 10-hour-a-week student when we're able to have one. And we provide 4 services to the university community: the IR, TU Scholar Share, an open access publishing fund that covers portions of APCs for fully OA journals, an OJS platform for student-run journals, and what we're here to talk about today, North Broad Press. Next slide, please. So this is the North Broad Press homepage on our Manifold platform. All North Broad Press titles are hosted there. We've published 7 titles to date, and we have 6 in various stages of production, including a pedagogical game right now. These books have been written by faculty across the schools and colleges of the university: College of Liberal Arts, College of Engineering, College of Public Health, and even a faculty member from Temple University, Japan. The disciplines include kinesiology, civil engineering, religion. They're all across the spectrum. So next slide, please. So in entering into North Broad Press and then undertaking a project, we and the authors have common goals. Next slide, please. So the authors create and we publish original texts that support student success. They're really designed to enable students to succeed. They fill a gap. Faculty may not have found a textbook that aligns with the way they teach, or if there is a book, it might be too expensive. That cost is a barrier. And it is possible there's an open textbook, but it might not align with the way they're teaching their course. We also hope that North Broad Press books can be used in courses outside of Temple. All of our books are peer-reviewed by 2 scholars not affiliated with Temple, and they're professionally produced. Next slide, please. The process is analogous to the production process of the press. So next slide, please. We start with a proposal, and that proposal is then evaluated by a team of librarians, including the subject librarians in the disciplines that are covered in the proposal. If it receives positive feedback, we then meet with the authors, we discuss the process and the next steps. The authors then sign a Creative Commons license, they write the manuscript, they submit it, it goes through peer review, revisions. The final manuscript is then professionally copy edited. It's typeset. We use Pressbooks, and we've also done books in InDesign. Authors, and then it goes through the whole production process of review of proof and all of that. North Broad Press authors receive a stipend. These are originally authored textbooks, so we do provide a stipend. They get half upon the license being signed, and then they get half when they submit the final manuscript. The final output of our production process are a digital accessible PDF, a print-ready PDF, and an EPUB. And you also have the opportunity to buy a print copy. They're produced on demand, and they're priced at cost. We publish everything on Manifold, as you saw, which, in addition to all the North Broad Press titles, hosts all of the press's open access books. Next slide, please. So this is one of our North Broad Press titles on Manifold. This is the title by the faculty member at TU Japan. It's written to help international students make the transition to studying in the US. You can see that the PDF and the EPUB files can be downloaded. You can buy your print copy, and the book can also be read online within Manifold. Next slide, please. So the press and the library bring different skills to the program, and then we've learned a lot from each other. Next slide, please. When we launched North Broad Press, we wanted to leverage the skills of the press and the library staff to increase competencies. So the press brought experience with the who, the what, the how of peer review. Production and project management are core competencies, as is working with freelancers. So I handle everything related to copy editing, to the copy edited manuscript, routing copy edited manuscript back and forth to authors. As books began to be published, Alicia became immersed in the production process. She now oversees everything related to peer review. She typesets books and press books. She manages art programs. She creates final files. She edits EPUBs. She manages other technical aspects of projects, including multimedia. We have a book that's going to include H5P exercises. So she's really taken over everything about production. And the press handles everything related to the print on demand. And from Alicia, the press staff has learned where to find and how to incorporate openly licensed images. She also understands the nuances of CC licenses and the differences between the license types. Her experience with and knowledge of accessibility has been invaluable to the press as we are striving to become compliant with the accessibility mandates of the EU and get our hands around the challenges that we're facing there. Next slide, please. So we measure impact of Northbroad Press titles in several ways. Next slide, please. So we use Google Analytics. We run it at the platform level and also at the individual title level. So, you know, Google Analytics is limited. It's kind of quirky, but authors really appreciate the stats that they can get from there. They love the map in particular. We also received our first review of a Northbroad Press book on the Open Textbook Library. 5 stars and detailed positive comments from the coordinator of the Psychiatric Mental Health Nurse Practitioner Program at Radford University. And although it's not a focus at all, I do also look at the sales of print copies. That table you're seeing there on the bottom right are sales for the civil engineering textbook, which was the first book we published. And all of those sales came from outside Temple. So it is proof that the book is being used beyond Temple, and we've achieved that goal. So next slide, please. So we do a lot with slightly more than 1 FTE and our 10-hour-a-week student, and we do it extremely well. Next slide, please. But we created a program that isn't scalable. Times were better and things were very different when we launched. We had an additional FTE who was the driving force behind the creation of SCOP and all of their services. So in those better times, we created a platinum level service. Every book is custom, and our high standards match those of the largest and well-funded university presses. In the first couple of years, we signed the maximum number of titles that our budget would allow. And that means that we now have a huge number of titles in various stages of production. And now that means we haven't done a call for proposal since before the pandemic. Instead, we're responding to faculty and evaluating projects on a case-by-case basis. It's very hard to say no when we're getting projects that way. So we're not exactly putting the word out. The ones that we're getting now tend to come through referrals by a subject liaison librarian. The library's budget has always been constrained, but the cuts have been compounded year upon year. We get a set amount of funding that has to cover all our costs. That's author stipends, reviewer honorarium, freelance copy editing and typesetting, cover design, digital asset management, and it's use it or lose it. The budget doesn't carry over from year to year, and there's a lot of pressures that put this at risk. So we're considering tiers of service. Should we have authors work in press books directly? We haven't done that yet. We've been reluctant to do it because of the amount of support that might be needed, but that's something we're definitely considering. We have several books that we produced using custom designs in InDesign. And did we need to do that? And do those custom designs actually impede reuse, which is one of the tenets of OER? Should we stick with author submitted Word files for some of these complicated books? There's a lot we haven't even thought of yet. We're reevaluating the service, all of our SCOP services actually right now. I will say, though, that Northbrook Press has given us a valuable window into teaching and learning. It supports the creation of pedagogy differently than the press does and the way the library does as well, including the use of multimedia. We're proud of the program. It's been embraced by faculty and fills a demonstrable need, but we do have to consider what it will be in the future. So, last slide, please. So thank you very much. And I think we have time for a few questions.
Yeah, I think to keep us on track, like if there's maybe one or maybe two, we'll see how fast we can go. Questions from the crowd, just please feel free to type into the chat. Otherwise, we can move on and discuss at the end. But anybody have any questions for Mary Rose and this project? Good questions. Okay, so let's do just a couple of these. Mary Rose, can you talk a little bit about how you collaborate on marketing? And then I'm going to go to the expanding what you do to scholars outside of Pennsylvania institutions. And if you could do those in about a minute,
Sure.
that would be great. Thanks,
Yep.
Mary Rose.
Well, the answer to the first one is pretty quick. We don't actually do much marketing. We send the books to Open Textbook Library. We put a record in DOAB. We send emails out to various listservs. We ask the authors to promote the books to their networks. So it's more just getting the word out than what I would consider true marketing. Still, we've actually reached a lot of people. So again, that's something else that if we had more staff, we could probably spend more time on. And in terms of expanding the program beyond Temple, we are simply not staffed up to do that at this point. There are some logistical challenges around that as well, just because of the way Temple is structured and the way that it works. It would be great to do that. And if we could, find partnerships that would allow us to do that, I think we'd be interested. But I have to say, with the staffing constraints that we have right now, that would be something in the far future.
Thank you, Mary Rose, and thank you for the questions.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Jenny.
Great. Hello, everyone. Thanks. Next slide, please. Thank you. As Jess said, I'm Jennie Collinson. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at Liverpool University Press, and I'm chair of this year's AU Press's Library Relations Committee. Liverpool University Press was established in 1899 and is the UK's third oldest university press. We celebrated our 125th anniversary in 2024. LUP publishes 200 books per year, 54 journals, and 14 direct-to-library collections hosted on our own platform. In 2024, we launched Liverpool Distribution Services, a print distribution, sales, and marketing service for university presses. We are a self-sustaining, mission-led organisation, and open access is central to that mission. We published our first open access book in 2010 and have launched and participated in a number of ventures since then, including Open Up, our Subscribe to Open model LUP Open Planning, and Modern Languages Open. I'm here today to talk to you about Trailblazers, the new open access initiative opening the door for early career researchers. Next slide, please. Trailblazers is for the rising stars of their disciplines. It focuses on emerging research within the humanities and social sciences. It is delivered on an annual basis with a new cohort recruited each year. The participating libraries commit to pay a heavily discounted book processing charge per monograph. LUP covers the remaining cost, and this pays for the process end-to-end and facilitates the open access publication of an early career researcher's first monograph. The submissions go through the standard process for publishing a book with Liverpool University Press, but with a difference. The ECRs are not only offered guidance throughout the process on revising their proposals, but are also educated on the publishing process from start to finish. The idea came from a consultation with LUP's Library Relations Board. It's driven by what publishers can do to support ECRs. It's increasingly difficult for ECRs within the humanities and social sciences to secure a job and develop a career. They often need a first book contracted for tenure or inclusion in the Research Excellence Framework, yet they are not necessarily first in line for departmental OA funding. In its first year, there were 11 proposals across the 3 participating libraries, and 9 of those ended up being accepted. Those 9 submissions are broad in scope, including literary studies, history, sociology, education, and architecture. 4 of them have reached contract stage as of March 2025. Next slide, please. Trailblazers is built on collaboration and knowledge sharing and began with the University of Liverpool, Lancaster University, and the University of Salford. In 2025, they were joined by Liverpool John Moores University, the University of Reading, and the University of Wolverhampton, and we hope more will join in the coming years. The press and the libraries co-manage the administration process. The libraries manage outreach at their own institutions in different ways, and participation can vary. So what motivates the libraries to participate? When this question was posed to Martin Wolf, head of open research at the University of Liverpool, he answered that the library wanted to learn more about the book commissioning and production process to inform future discussions on how they can move towards greater adoption of open access publishing. When asked what change they wanted to see from the initiative, he said, "Trailblazers can inform change by ensuring that publishers, libraries, and authors are on the same page with regards to how we might sculpt the publishing landscape." A clear route to open access publication for ECRs at these institutions is the goal of this initiative. But it's important to note that the collaboration between stakeholders and the knowledge sharing that comes from that is also a driving force behind participation in it. Next slide, please. It's important to define what we mean by an early career researcher. Trailblazers uses the UKRI definition, which is a researcher within 8 years of their PhD award or equivalent professional training, or within 6 years of their first academic appointment that lists research or teaching as the primary function. In addition to this, candidates must be employed by or a registered student at one of the participating institutions, and they have not previously published a book, monograph, or long-form output for which they are the sole author. Feedback from the 2024 cohort of early career researchers has been really positive. You can see here on screen a quote from Simon Hadfield, author of one of the accepted monographs. When asked why he applied for the initiative, he said, "The initiative presented a fantastic opportunity to elevate my recently completed research project to the next level. It allowed me to expand on the thesis and explore new avenues for further work. The open book opportunity provided a chance to broaden the scope of the original research and share the findings with a wider socially engaged audience. The proposal and peer review stages have been invaluable in helping me understand the process of producing a book for a wider audience." Next slide, please. I'll now talk you through the initiative's workflow. As mentioned, the process begins with the libraries conducting internal outreach to the ECRs at their institutions and inviting submissions for the initiative. We are currently at that stage of the process for 2025. The deadline for libraries to send their submissions to LUP is at the end of May. There are no operating principles for the libraries, but there are an agreed set of guidelines for the proposals, including word length, images, and subject areas. Each library conducts the outreach in their own way. For example, in year one library had funding for a proposal from each school within the humanities and social sciences. Another opted to establish its own editorial board. It's at the library's discretion how many proposals they accept. Following the submission deadline, the proposals are treated like any other submitted to LUP and subject to the approval of the Editorial Advisory Board. If approved, they are formally accepted for the initiative and the contract signed. Throughout the development of the manuscript, the ECRs benefit from the experience of and advice from the editorial team at LUP, including our incredible editorial director, Allison Wellesby, who runs the project. The manuscript is subject to a double peer review, and once it passes this, the ECRs are guided through copy editing and typesetting. Alongside this process, the ECRs are offered in-person masterclasses from LUP and the libraries, including how to write a proposal and turn a dissertation into a book, how to index, accessibility and how to write alt texts, marketing and how to promote your book. After final revisions, their monograph is published both in print and as an open access ebook. They are then offered guidance on life after publication. This includes library collection management, research metrics, information on how publishing their book open access will benefit their career. Next slide, please. Trailblazers equips early career researchers with the knowledge and skills to support the publication of their work throughout their careers. They learn the fundamentals of how to successfully write, publish, and promote their work. It's an attempt to help level the playing field. ECRs are often overlooked and under-celebrated. In addition to getting their foot in the door, they also gain access to often coveted open access funding, which is often reserved for tenured researchers. It helps evolve emerging fields of research and the new voices within those fields. Next slide, please. Trailblazers is only in its second year, but there's clear potential for both expansion and globalization, which means adding more library partners, enabling more ECRs to produce more open access monographs. There's also the possibility of broadening participation in the initiative to outside of the UK. It will continue to emphasize the impact of early career research within the humanities and social sciences. The stakeholders will continue to learn from each other and collaborate in the pursuit of their shared goal to uplift early career researchers and further values-based publishing. Next slide, please. I'll end on the challenges we face in expanding Trailblazers. The current climate in the UK, with large deficits and an anticipated 10,000 job cuts across the university sector, of course, poses extreme challenges to the libraries participating in initiatives like this. However, due to the collaborative nature of it and the shared mission between the stakeholders, for Trailblazers, the libraries can demonstrate a clear return on investment to their parent institutions. They are investing in their own ECRs through working with a publishing partner. Budget cuts are therefore more likely to hit speculative spending on big deals with commercial publishers. In the US, so much is unknown. We'd hope to broaden the scope to accommodate institutions within the region, but it's unclear what restrictions will be placed on institutions and would stop them from being able to participate. Candidly, as Jess mentioned, the spec for this session was developed before November 2024, and its intention is to showcase how this community can collectively affect change and how that change demonstrates progress, which is an objective that universities, their libraries, and their presses may now feel more resistance to than ever, arguably making it even more vital. That's me. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. We probably should sort of keep things to another minute of questions. So if there's one or two questions from the audience, please feel free, type in any of your questions or thoughts for Jennie about Trailblazers. I know it sometimes takes a minute to post a question. Here's a question. Are there still mistaken concerns amongst tenure evaluators about the rigor and quality of digital publications? Is this an issue that comes up when soliciting content?
That's a good question. Yeah, so I think there is, and I think there is work to be done with initiatives like this. You know, these are Liverpool University Press monographs, as well as being Trailblazer open access monographs. They go through all of the same standardized process that all of the books that we publish do. And it's a great way to draw attention to the quality of the work that is coming through from the early career researchers, you know, when they feel they have to jump through all of these hoops. It's been shared with us that there's a stamp of approval that comes through there that really helps them kind of move forward in their careers.
Great. I think we do have another question that's come in, but I'm going to save it to the end so that we have time for Allison and her talk. So
Sure.
Allison Mira will come back to your question at the end. Okay, thank you. Let's go on to Allison.
Thank you, Jess. It's great to be here with everyone. Let me begin with an overview of Brown University Digital Publications, which originated from conversations with the Mellon Foundation in 2014 about the challenges of advancing the practice and recognition of long-form, born digital scholarly works. While a large part of Mellon's investment in this area went to building out the digital infrastructure available to university presses, the foundation also sought to support the community of scholars who are seeking to legitimate the expanded possibilities that digital publication offered for developing and presenting their research. To this end, a smaller number of grants through the foundation's Digital Monograph Initiative was awarded to institutions experimenting with university-based models of support for faculty, ranging from developmental editing and design support to assistance in placing the work with suitable publishers. At Brown, that experimentation took the form of a library-based publishing program designed to encourage and support Brown faculty to showcase their research and scholarship in dynamic new ways, namely multimodal born digital monographs that advance scholarly arguments in ways not available in a conventional print format, whether through multimedia enhancements or interactive engagement with research materials. Combined with open access publishing models, these new scholarly forms are increasing the visibility and reach of scholarship to global audiences, both within and beyond the academy, in unprecedented ways. To date, BUDP has produced 3 such works, published by the University of Virginia Press, Stanford University Press, and the MIT Press. All have received national or international recognition from the American Historical Association, the Association of American Publishers. I'm sorry, we should move to the next slide. Thank you. Sorry, everyone. All have received recognition from the American Historical Association, the Association of American Publishers, and the Royal Institute of Philosophy. And we can now move to the next slide. Great. 14 other works are currently in development, and I want to take a moment to shine the spotlight on the amazing team behind these projects. That is Cosette Bruns Alonso, our assistant editor, Crystal Bruce, designer for digital publications, and Holiday Shapiro, our digital content specialist. So among this group of works that is in development, they represent a broad range of disciplines across the humanities and the humanistic social sciences. One of these is under contract with Fordham University Press and recently served as a case study for the Mellon-funded Embedding Preservability project conducted by NYU Libraries. The goal here is to support publishers and other multimedia content developers in making technological and design choices that will ensure long-term access to complex scholarly works. As experimentation with new scholarly forms continues to take place across libraries, also museums, humanities centers, and university presses, monograph publishing in the digital age must also center the lived experience and knowledge of diverse authors, a shared commitment that forms the basis for a second collaboration between Brown and the MIT Press. Next, please. Combining the library's digital content development expertise and the press's global publishing experience, a new multimodal book series, On Seeing, centers underrepresented perspectives on how we see, comprehend, and participate in the visual world. In working together to produce and disseminate essential knowledge for broad audiences, this partnership also addresses issues of scalability and sustainability. A print book, providing a revenue stream to help offset costs, is offered at a reasonable price and distributed globally. An enhanced open access edition ensures the work will reach the widest possible readership. This digital edition introduces a less bespoke, more economical approach to interactive design and development. It also features uniquely digital content, including a community engagement toolkit tailored to each specific volume. Next, please. Recognizing that most of this innovative work is being generated at well-resourced, predominantly white institutions, Brown strives to make the digital publication process more accessible and inclusive through purposeful training and mentoring programs, such as an NEH Institute on Advanced Topics in the Digital Humanities. Born Digital Scholarly Publishing, Resources, and Roadmaps supports up to 15 scholars from less well-resourced institutions who wish to pursue digital publication but may lack the necessary infrastructure and capacity at their home institutions. Next, please. Here I share a few of the cohort voices. A faculty member at Fisk writes, "The Institute served as the catalyst I needed to kickstart my research agenda. Moreover, this institute bolsters the credibility for digital publishing as a scholarly form." And faculty at Howard and Kentucky State emphasize the importance of now being able to introduce their students to digital publishing, as well as amplifying their work as public historians. Next, please. Building on the success of the NEH Institute, with generous support from the IMLS and in partnership with the HBCU Library Alliance and the University of Michigan Press, Brown established Advancing HBCU Scholarship, Diversifying Digital Publishing, a cross-organizational training program for HBCU library professionals seeking to gain or expand expertise in developing born digital scholarship. Taking an expansive, collaborative approach to digital publishing, this multi-pronged intervention addresses equity issues endemic to academic publishing by establishing models for enhanced support for HBCU staff, faculty, and students. Next. And here I share feedback from a cohort member from Fisk University who writes, "The program will be a model for other institutions that want to collaborate to make publishing more accessible to a wider group of authors." Indeed, through both the NEH and IMLS-funded interventions, this crucial reprioritization of how and for whom the practice and production of digital scholarship is taught will have a profound impact on current and future generations of scholars. Regrettably, both of these grants have been terminated, but public-facing websites hosted by Brown Library continue to make available to a global audience training materials and other program resources. I want to add an important note here on funding and sustainability. While Brown continues to enjoy generous support from the Mellon Foundation, we've also taken the necessary institutional steps to continue our core work without interruption. Next, please. I'll close by announcing our latest partnership, this one in support of Indigenous voices. Navigating best approaches and practices for a digital publishing program in Micronesia is a Mellon-funded collaboration with the University of Guam Press. In addition to co-producing a pilot publication documenting contemporary knowing of Micronesian traditional navigation, the partner institutions will document overarching protocols for the receiving and sharing of Indigenous and traditional knowledge on a born digital platform. This work will be guided by elders and traditional and community leaders. And we are also in partnership with Ravenspace. As we all navigate the unsteady waters ahead, Brown University Library will continue to seek out partnerships with university presses that introduce new publishing models and new opportunities to empower and amplify diverse voices and perspectives. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Let's take a minute and just allow anybody, actually, this slide is if you want to get in touch with any of us with further direct questions or more in-depth questions, you're welcome to reach any of us at any time. Let's take a couple of minutes and see if there are any questions specifically for Allison on her program, and then we'll circle back and take questions on everything, and I'll get back to the question for Jennie on Liverpool Press. But specific questions for Allison on the work she's doing at Brown. Please feel free to jot something into the chat. There aren't any questions. I think I'll just open it up, but why don't I start by circling back to the question for Jennie on Liverpool? Oh, here's a question. Hold on, here we go. Good question. Wondering this is for you, Allison, what can you share about copyright implications for Indigenous Knowledge Project?
Thank you for that great question. I'm afraid I can't answer it just yet. Our work is just getting started. In fact, this is the first time that we've announced the collaboration. University of Guam will be issuing a press release, but I do have permission from Lola to bring this great news to you all today. We have a meeting this evening at 6 p.m. to actually map out now doing the work. So while I can't provide an answer just yet, that is absolutely one of the concerns that we will be addressing. Learning as we go through a pilot publication, but also as part of our one of our deliverables, producing a set of guidelines for university press for the university press community, who also will be working with Indigenous knowledge in a digital publication space. So forthcoming, please stay tuned.
Excellent. We are the first to know. Very exciting. And then there's another question for you, Allison, about print components. Are there any print components that accompany any of these monographs, Born Digital monographs?
Yes, thank you, Allison. In the case of the MIT series on Seeing, yes, that is a hybrid model. That is the first time we're experimenting with a hybrid model. The first two titles now have been released in print. And we're working on the digital, the open access piece comes out a few months later. So for the first title, we've released the digital edition, and the digital edition for the second title will be forthcoming in August. But we released the community engagement toolkit on the pub day for the print edition, so that readers have access to that very necessary tool. But for the Brown core portfolio, these are Born Digital, exclusively digital to date, though we are open to a hybrid model for that portfolio as well.
Okay, I'll go back to the question for Jennie. Does Liverpool limit the subject matter for proposed titles based on, the kinds of titles that are on your list now? Can you answer that one?
Sure, yeah, it is one of the kind of the guiding principles for the submissions. We don't get involved with kind of how the libraries operate in their outreach, but when it comes to the submissions that they kind of put forward to LUP, we do look for the synergy with the LUP list, but it is a broad list. It is humanities and social sciences, and including what we'll refer to as humanities adjacent. And in what we mean by that is work in the earth sciences and kind of looking in a broader kind of scope. So whilst we do kind of oversee that there's certainly room for a variety of submissions.
Great. Other questions for any particular person here or for everyone in general about making these collaborations work and how to launch something, how to sustain it once it's launched, building relationships. Any other questions? Oh, here's another question. For Allison, can you speak a little bit more about how the library generated buy-in with the dean of the faculty? It's always great to see support from the administration. I think this is a good question about how you really build consensus and sort of core belief in the direction of a project.
Yes, this is an excellent point, and we are very fortunate at Brown to have the full buy-in from the dean of the faculty from the beginning. In fact, when we received our first Mellon grant in 2015, it was the two PIs were the university librarian and the dean of the faculty. So that office has always been an integral part of it. It is, you know, the dean was an original architect of our grant proposal. So, and one of the first and I'd say most important sort of tasks that the dean's office had was to work with the departments to ensure that for tenure and promotion, that peer-reviewed born digital publications of the sort that we were starting to develop would be given equal weight in the review process. So it's that has been a critical piece, which reassures faculty, especially early career faculty on the tenure track, that the institution supports these new scholarly forms. And the Office of the DOF continues to be a wonderful resource for me and for the editorial team as we are working with authors to develop these projects. So yes, it is I think a very important piece. I think it would look quite different without that support on our campus, and I suspect on others as well.
Excellent. We have about 5 more minutes and we have 2 more excellent questions. One is for all of the panelists, do you see any particular opportunities for these projects in connection with the University-Based Publishing Futures Initiative?
I can speak to that briefly if you want, Jess.
Sure.
I think the development of the initiative is still in kind of the early stages, but as kind of you mentioned at the beginning, I'd see the work that we're all doing and the collaborative nature of it speaks to the advocacy part of that group and showcasing you know, the wider community of those working on and in scholarly publishing. So absolutely, and we hope to, I know the Library Relations Committee hopes to explore that further in the coming years.
And we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. And then another question specifically on peer review. How do you do it? Do reviewers, and I think is this for anybody in particular, or is this sounds like it's a good one for Mary Rose, but maybe for everybody. Do reviewers review the whole books or just proposed chapters, and do you compensate peer reviewers?
So that's a really good question. For North Broad Press, we made the decision to have reviewers review the full manuscript and the proposal with it. The way the authors have approached writing these projects, by and large, is that they haven't necessarily been thinking of them on with an individual chapter approach, because they're thinking about this and aligned with the way they're teaching their course. They value feedback more at the full book level, which is very different from the way the press might approach peer review for traditional press titles. We do compensate peer reviewers. They get a small honorarium for doing the peer review. I should also add that when first peer reviewer comments go back to the authors. We request the revised manuscript and an email about how they responded to those comments. And then that revision goes back to one of the original peer reviewers for a kind of a final approval check. So yeah, they get $150. It's very modest. I think it's just an acknowledgement of the work that they do. We do ask peer reviewers if they're willing to do this in an open peer review situation. If they do, we list their names on the copyright page. The author can then get in touch with them if they so choose. And if not, obviously we respect that as well.
Excellent. Lofton, do we have time for one more question? I have a question to just throw out that I think might be of interest. Do we have time for one more?
I think you have have 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute, super quick, sort of a wrap-up question for everyone. How do you balance workloads amongst collaborators?
I can say that ours is not particularly well balanced. Alicia, as editor-in-chief of Northbroad Press, does the majority of the work. I certainly step in when I can, and as I said, I do everything related to copy editing. Yeah, we're kind of out of balance at this point. It's working, but then again, that's something we, again, as we reevaluate the whole program, is something we're going to be looking at.
That's a big challenge. And I know we're at time. We just, on behalf of all of us, all the panelists, thank you so much for coming to talk with us and for sharing your questions and comments. And we're so honored to have been able to speak with you, and thank you for having us.